So imagine you want to go to school, okay? Maybe you're a little bit older, you're involved in your career, and you're looking for the money to do so because school is incredibly expensive. Well, you might end up paying a lot for your loans in interest. And if you're a certain type of person, particularly a non-white person, and you're going to a school that they have a problem with, you might end up paying even more and not know that you're paying this extra special discriminatory tax. So let's talk about an investigation that was done by a group that was looking out for student borrowers. So they applied for dozens of loans online. And in doing so, they concocted this sort of person, an avatar, a 24-year-old man who was going to be the applicant in all of these loans. He lives in New York. He don't look for him, he's made up. But in this case, he lives in New York, works as a financial analyst and makes $50,000 a year. Each time the group applied for a loan, it kept a whole range of factors constant. And they created sort of like a professional living in New York, has this sort of career that if you don't pay attention to American politics seems to have some dignity to it, makes a good salary and all of that. So bear all of that in mind. And again, all these factors about his life are held constant as they apply to multiple different, for loans to go to multiple different schools. So according to the Civil Rights Council at the nonprofit Student Borrower Protection Center, the only difference in these cases was where he would go to school. It applied as if this fictional borrower went to NYU, many other schools, and Howard University, one of the country's most famous historically black colleges and universities. And they found that if the otherwise identical hypothetical applicant went to NYU instead of Howard, there was a big difference. For a $30,000 personal loan with a 5-year term, it found an applicant would pay around $3,500 more in interest and fees if they went to Howard. Again, the same person with the same job, making the same salary, the same everything, only that rather than going to NYU, they were gonna go to Howard, they were gonna pay thousands of dollars, a significant jump in their overall interest payments.
And this is part of how the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. But in this case, it's not just about class. It is definitely about race. So that is so depressing. Now, you could say, well, look, first of all, there's nothing you could say. Okay, but let's say you were trying to make a weird case for, well, look, maybe folks from certain backgrounds have certain socioeconomic conditions and then they pay back the loans less. For example, if you have a good credit score, you're more likely to pay the loan back, and if you have a bad credit score, et cetera. And so maybe race is an indication of your socioeconomic background, which might be an indication of your credit score. But none of that is true in this case.
Nope. Because
they have the same income, everything is the same. So the only thing different is the race of the applicant, presumably based on whether they're going to apply to a historically black college or not. And it's not like we're presuming it, the people giving the loans presumed it.
Yeah.
Because why give a $3,500 difference, right?
Exactly, a huge amount of money. It wasn't the only place that they found this effect. They also found that if you went to New Mexico State University, Las Cruces, you would also pay more. That school has a high percentage of Hispanic students. So there's discrimination to go around. And one of the, so your first comment was, this is so depressing. And it is, because it's the sort of thing where there are these groups that are doing great work in investigating this. And you can go and you can read a report, an all-encompassing report they put together of all the data that they found. But your hope that something might change right now, I mean, it's like, God, somebody call Betsy DeVos so she can get on this thing. No, it's just another thing added onto the mountain of, God, I hope we get to a sensible place so these sorts of problems can start to be solved.
Yeah, and so I saw this great video online. I wish I remembered who did it to give them credit, but they had people line up at the 100-yard, at the starting line, and they said, we're gonna do a 100-yard race, and they said, oh wait, before we do the race, people who had growing up with two parents take a step forward or 2 steps forward. People who grew up in a home rather than an apartment take another step forward. You get it, right? And then and whoever wins, by the way, gets like $100 or something along those lines. And by the time they were done, there were some people who were already at the 70-yard line. So then they said, okay, now we're gonna start the race. And the people at the back were like, wait, what? This isn't fair. That's life. So here is minorities who historically born into households that have 10% of the wealth of white households because of a history of discrimination. And then they get layered on top all these different problems. Redlining in terms of houses, getting pulled over by cops more, body cams on police misidentify them at 100 times the rate of whites, which leads to more false arrests. And it goes on. And then, well, they made it, they got a good job, they're gonna go to a good school. Okay, now you gotta pay $3,500 more.
Yeah,
right?
For the same exact thing.
And then people say, oh, white privilege. Well, that's crazy. There's no such thing. I'm not rich. No, dude, it isn't about whether you're rich. It's that they got moved way further behind than you. And you didn't even know that. So when we tell you that, can you please have some empathy?
Yeah.
And let's all work together to fix it.
Yeah, and I just, I think like, man, you think like even if we could get Trump to sit down and look at this, that he'd do something about it? Like our only hope is that Bloomberg replaces him.
Or maybe Kim Kardashian can pick up the cause. So
that might actually be our only hope.
Yeah. So
actually, somebody get on that.
This is the world we live in now. All right, we got a year to fix it.
Don't miss your chance to win a trip to Los Angeles and have dinner with Cenk, John, and me. Just head to tyt.com/dinnerinla to register to win. Sign up for a free Aspiration Spend and Save account. Then you just register your eligibility and swipe your Aspiration card daily on purchases to gain entries. Not only are you entering to win a trip to Los Angeles and dinner with TYT hosts, you're also not depositing your hard-earned money into fossil fuel exploration or production. As a friendly reminder, even if you already have an Aspiration account, you must still register for eligibility into the sweepstakes.